What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So starting off, Lucid did have a very nice day on Friday. Take that with a grain of salt. I know it was only up 1.34%, but given the market was in massive bloodbath mode, I think generally that's kind of a good thing. Going into this upcoming week, you do have starting off on Monday, it being more of a technical driven day. And at the same time, I personally feel Friday's sell-off was unjustified. A little bit more of an overreaction. Due to good data, just the market tantruming over just potentially not getting rate cuts, but who's going to argue with having good data? I don't know who on earth would rather have negative data just to get a rate cut. Doesn't logically make sense. So I think on Monday you are going to see a broad market push higher. Tuesday you have PPI, and then on Wednesday you have a couple things. You have banks starting to unveil their earnings, and also the dreaded CPI. So this is going to be the very first inflation data that we have since Powell. And so that is going to cause a hell of a lot of volatility. So kind of just stay tuned for that. Aside from that, though, Thursday retail sales, initial jobless claims, and then Friday's capping it off with permits and housing starts. So a lot of volatility, but I feel that aside from inflation, things will kind of move higher, again, depending on inflation and how that is. Specific to Lucid, though, there's two things that you can kind of anticipate. So preparation for Montreal Auto Show. I did see a couple people on Twitter saying that they're actually going to that. So I think that's generally a good thing. Aside from that, though, there is this to kind of look forward to. So Faisal Sultan is going to be speaking at this, so the Future Mineral Forum. So again, I think as far as how Lucid's going to be looped into all that, the PIF has that obviously mineral facility that's like 2 miles away from Lucid. So I think as far as supply chain, Faisal is going to do a good job kind of advertising what the Saudi plan to Vision 2030 is going to be, and how Lucid loops into all that, and how maybe I don't really know. Usually every interview there is involving Faisal, it's kind of a good thing. So that's coming out on January the 14th to the 16th. Aside from that, though, you have shorts. So shorts, interestingly enough, for the first time in a while, did return 413,000 shares. So that was done on Friday. So going into this upcoming week, 22.71% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 270.59 million shares overall are being shorted. So I feel this upcoming week it's going to be a lot of good opportunities for shorts to continue to return. The only thing that they might really start to double down on is if CPI is negative. So in Lucid's case, I think the technicals as well are really pointing for a little bit more of a push higher. Regarding options, though, you did have 1.18 million in calls on Friday, 987,000 in puts. 44% of all the options being done, though, were bearish in nature, and I think that's just piggybacking off of the broader market. And of basically some of the call options that were purchased, there's a consensus for it to be above $4. So pretty good recovery for that. And then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub $3. So clearly there's a lot more upside than down. And just to look at the open interest, this is a massive week for options, and just take the time to research what a gamma squeeze is. So that is pertaining to options. Look at all of this in open interest. So at the $2.50 mark, there's 45,000 in open interest, 38,000 at that 3, 33,000 at the 350, 21,000 at the 4, and so forth. Not saying this upcoming week you're going to see a $5 level. I think that's a little bit unrealistic, but potentially Lucid could retest maybe that 350, possibly even 4. So you'll see a good amount of activity coming from market makers as they have to rectify and cover a lot of these potentially in the money options. So yeah, definitely will make for a very interesting week. But as I mentioned, it is going to come back onto the technicals with it closing at 302. It is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 299 is going to be the next strong kind of support point that you'll really want to watch for it to hold. Flip side, 284 and then 260 are going to be kind of the following ones. So just take note of that just in case, for instance, CPI comes out a little bit worse for wear. Aside from that though, you have $3.23 and then 347 going to be the next strong target size resistance points. Options, like I said, the bulls are anticipating for it to be above all of that. So above 386, you have 449. So they're anticipating for it to be kind of within that range. So very impressive stuff. And as far as on the chart itself, last 2 trading days, you had a test. So the broader market was really getting hammered. So Wednesday and then Friday. And ultimately that right here, these support points were really tested, and luckily enough, they held out very, very well. So the 100 and 200 day moving averages in Lucid's case have been kind of the line in the sand. So definitely watch for that to continue to hold going into this upcoming week. And if so, then you could see a nice push higher, potentially to roughly around this range, so the 342 and then just 379. So I think in general, higher highs are coming for Lucid. Whether it be from their actual earnings. So earnings isn't going to be up until mid or late February. So I think it's on the 25th, if I remember correctly. But I think just there's a lot of hype that Lucid is going to do pretty good things. And so, yeah, I think this upcoming week, assuming CPI is good, then you will see a nice push higher. I don't see realistically $4 being hit because of that solely. I think you'll have another retest of roughly around that 350 to 360. But what do I know, right? My crystal ball is sometimes wrong. So I can see us realistically hovering around this R2 by the end of this week. But even if you factor that in, that's a pretty good return on investment all in all. So where do you see things going in the short term? Do you think it's going to continue high, low? Do you think Friday's market sell-off was justified? Do you think we're going to have a recovery? Like, what's your expectations for this upcoming week? And one final thing, pop over to my Patreon. I give buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolute bangers, so pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.